Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, is there a plot to topple Keir Starmer from the Prime Minister's chair? As his popularity plummets, there are whispers of a challenge to the Prime Minister's leadership that are doing the rounds in London. And in India, in the state elections of Bihar, the woman factor may just prove to be decisive, as 74% of the women electorate of Bihar has already cast its ballot this time round. But the big question is this: do the women of Bihar want to give another chance to Nitish Kumar after 20 years of his leadership in the state? But let's of course start with this big story from the United States of America. Are American lawmakers close to officially bringing to an end the longest ever government shutdown in American history? Now, that, of course, is the big question tonight. In a few hours from now, the congressional lawmakers of the United States House of Representatives will be voting on a deal to end the longest government shutdown in American history. Now, this key development comes after 8 Democrats broke party ranks on Monday to side with the Republicans after a handshake deal on the provisions of the tabled stopgap bill. Now, the United States House of Representatives returned to Washington after a 42-day break, with the lawmakers voting on a possible compromise deal aimed at reopening the federal government. The bill will restore funding until the 30th of January 2026, putting off the next showdown but adding to the U.S. federal debt, now at a staggering $38 trillion. The deal also ensures that the food assistance program that is known as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, will remain funded until the 30th of September 2026. But the funding is only partially used and millions of low-income Americans remain at risk.
We don't like being pawns. We don't like, and this is including myself, we don't like to be called the swamp or to be used in anyone's political games, no matter what side you're on. Because I want people to know how much the federal government impacts lives. We impact so many lives, but you just don't see it. It's like unsung heroes.
Now, the Supreme Court of the United States extended a pause on a lower court order that would have forced the Trump administration to immediately restore full funding for SNAP, affecting roughly 42 million low-income Americans. Specifically, about $4 billion of SNAP benefits remain on hold while the legal fight continues. And this pause is set to expire on Thursday, heightening pressure on the Congress to act swiftly. Now, on the economic front, the shutdown's ripple effects are hitting the aviation sector pretty hard. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has mandated flight cuts at 40 major airports following a surge in cancellations. Over 8,000 flights were cancelled in the last 4 days, on top of the 4,000 earlier in the shutdown. Growth in bookings for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday has slowed to just about 1%, down sharply from the expectations. Now, analysts estimate that the cuts may cost airlines around $10 million per day, and if these conditions persist until Thanksgiving, then the losses could climb to $45 million per day, excluding the lost revenue from the travelers who cancel altogether. But there is a contentious detail in the deal on the table, and it has sparked outrage amongst the Trump administration critics and the Democrat camp overall. The legislation grants 8 Republican senators whose phone records were ordered to testify in the 6th of January United States Capitol attack investigation the right to sue the U.S. Department of Justice for up to $500,000 each, plus the legal fee per violation of the newly defined rule. The Democrats are calling it a cash bonus for political allies of the Donald Trump administration. Now, the longest and the second longest government shutdown have both been under Trump's presidency. The question, of course, is this: will the House vote at 7 p.m. local time in Washington and end America's longest ever government shutdown?
Mr. Barrasso.
Let's now get you some updates from the high-stakes elections in the Indian state of Bihar. Now, the vote counting is to happen on the 14th of this month. That's 2 days away. And ahead of the result announcement on Friday, that is the 14th of November, let's take a look as to what the voter turnout looks like and how the political parties are preparing for the results. With many already claiming a victory, this assembly election in Bihar has registered a record voter turnout, and women voters of the state are in the spotlight. Now, Bihar has witnessed the highest women voter turnout in its history of elections, the first one being in 1951, and here are how the numbers stack up. The Phase 1 turnout of women voters stood at 69.04%, and Phase 2 saw 5% increase with a female voter turnout of 74%. And this takes the total turnout of the women voters in Bihar to a staggering 71.6%, a percentage that has never been witnessed before in the state. The last time the women in Bihar had recorded a notably high turnout was in 2015, when about 60.48% of the women had cast their ballots. Now, overall, the gender turnout ratio stood at about 62.8% for men and about 71.6% for women, a substantial difference of 9 percentage points. And with such a high percentage of Bihar voters stepping out to cast the ballot, it remains to be seen as to which party favors from these historic numbers. And also the bigger question here is this: will the women voters of Bihar determine the election's outcome? All right, now to help make sense of what's been happening with respect to the Bihar polls, we are joined on the broadcast by Ms. Aditi Fadnis, who is a senior journalist and also a contributing editor at the Business Standard. Ms. Fadnis, thank you very much indeed, ma'am, for joining us here on WION. Now, these numbers, especially the voter turnout, is quite historic. Women have come out and voted in a percentage that has never been witnessed in the state of Bihar. I want you to weigh in on the logic when the voter turnout goes up so substantially. Who does it actually favor? Because both the Mahagathbandhan and also the NDA, the BJP, the JDU combined claim that it is something that is going to go in their favor. But in your assessment, with Nitish Kumar facing 20 years of anti-incumbency, which way is this going?
Well, I have to tell you that I was in Bihar for many days, particularly in the Mithilaachal area, but also in Patna and surrounding areas. I found very little resentment against Nitish Kumar on account of incumbency. There were other reasons for the resentment. The resentment was directed against MLAs. Many said they never come. But overall, people were in quite forgiving and quite a positive mood where Nitish Kumar personally was concerned. So that was number one. Number two, I think the schemes that have been announced during Nitish Kumar's tenure as chief minister have been women-centric successively over many years of his tenure, and many of them have been welcomed very positively. I mean, there's a range of schemes, including the kind of empowerment of women he started out with when he became chief minister in 2000.
Right.
And continually since then, the last scheme that we heard about was the outlay that he has made to women who want to start their own business.
Right.
And I think 10,000 rupees has already been paid in many women's accounts.
I think that's a crucial factor which will have played as to which way the women would have voted. Now, I also want you to weigh in on something interesting that the pollsters are predicting through their exit polls, where they're now indicating that the JDU appears to be resurgent. It is not going to be the younger partner in the ruling alliance. What do you think is if these predictions are true, what do you think is indicating this revival of the JDU, especially given the fact that Nitish Kumar has been in charge of the state for the last 20 years, and as you say, he's not facing incumbency so long as his personality is concerned?
I think part of the reason is the fact that it's aligning with the BJP. JDU on its own has not too much organizational heft and strength. At no stage has the BJP tried to undermine him In fact, efforts by others in the alliance to undermine him have met with stiff resistance, even public resistance. So I think overall, Nitish Kumar has had a lot of support. But he's had support not only from alliance partners, but also from the people, because people realize that this could be, his penultimate election. Um, they want to reward him in some way. They are grateful for things that they have done. And none of the things that are going wrong in Bihar, like the decrepit educational system or the corruption that rules in the lower bureaucracy, is attributed to him.
Right.
So this discrimination people are in a position to make is very important for the majority of the state.
Interesting. Now, Bihar is an important state. It is politically very crucial. But Bihar also has a whole gamut of different problems. Unemployment is a huge issue. The fact that young, aspirational men and women of Bihar migrate to other states to seek out employment and a better life is an issue that Tejasvi Yadav went all in with. But despite of that, if these predictions by the pollsters and these exit polls are true, why do you think Tejasvi Yadav has not been able to make a dent in the manner one would have expected, because he's raising these issues which are so crucial for the people of Bihar?
Let us be clear. There is sympathy in a certain group of voters for Tejasvi Yadav also. There is a sense that Tejasvi Yadav is not Lalu Prasad, that all the things that Lalu Prasad's tenure was known for will not happen in Tejasvi Yadav's tenure. There is also a sense that he's a local boy who has made good. He has done everything on his terms, including marrying a person from another community,
Interrupt you there. My apologies
not
to you.
allowing the traditional power
Right.
elites.
Ms. Fatnis, I'll have to interrupt you there because the Cabinet Minister, Ashwini Vaishnav, is just addressing the media there. Let's listen into what's being said there.
Safeguard the lives and well-being of all Indians, consistent with its enduring commitment to national security and the safety of every citizen. इसका हिंदी प्रारूप भी आपके साथ शेयर किया जाएगा और बाकी दूसरे फैसलों पे आता हूं मैं. आप सबको व्हाट्सएप कर सबको जल्दी आराटाई कर देंगे. साथियों, आज 3 बड़े और फैसले लिए गए इस रेजोल्यूशन के बाद में. सबसे पहला एक नया एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन मिशन लॉन्च किया गया है 25,060 करोड़ रुपीस का. बहुत ही कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव मिशन है.
All right, let's now shift our attention to the United Kingdom, where a political row is unfolding in the United Kingdom, and at the center of it is the country's Prime Minister Keir Starmer. So his popularity ratings of the ruling Prime Minister plummet to pretty dismal levels. Now, there are whispers that are doing the rounds of a potential challenge to the Prime Minister's leadership that have been doing the rounds. And this, interestingly, has now been denied by a top Labour leader. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has denied any talk of a change in the leadership. It has also dismissed speculation that he plans to challenge Keir Starmer's leadership.
I'm not going in to demand the Prime Minister's resignation. I support the Prime Minister. I have done since he was elected leader of the Labour Party. I didn't vote for him in the leadership election, but I did support him from the moment he was elected. And I supported him all the way through at points when he did things that no one thought was possible. They didn't think he could turn around the Labour Party. He did. They didn't think he could win a general election. He did. People are now questioning whether he can change the country. He will.
Now, Streeting's response comes after Keir Starmer's aides have told a local media that Keir Starmer will fight any leadership challenge. The Health Secretary has also slammed that briefing. It has called it self-defeating for the Labour Party. And amidst speculation, Keir Starmer himself has responded to a line of questioning in the Parliament a short while ago, saying that he runs a quote-unquote, a united team. Now, Keir Starmer's answers have come as a response to a scathing attack by the opposition leaders. Listen to what was said there.
Responsibility. Just last night, his allies accused not just the Health Secretary, but the Home Secretary and even the Energy Secretary of launching leadership bids. These attacks came from number 10, nowhere else, his toxic number 10.
And let me be clear, of course, Mr. Speaker, I've never authorised attacks on cabinet members. I appointed them to their posts because they're the best people to carry out their jobs.
Now, the Labour Party has witnessed a divide since it came to power, and also the key cause of the rift has been the welfare reforms, which created a stir several months ago.
To return.
Now, several UK media reports now say that the ministers from within the Labour Party are plotting to challenge Keir Starmer later this month after a budget was presented in the Parliament. Many claim that the Labour Party might actually break its manifesto promises.
For Fiona, and let me give Fiona and the House my answer, Mr. Speaker, because the grooming scandal was one of the worst scandals of our time. Its scope will not change. It will examine the ethnicity and religion of the offenders from the panel.
Now, several Labour members of Parliament had opposed a budget cut for pensioner welfare schemes earlier this year. Now, amidst the war with Russia, Ukraine has been hit by a massive corruption scandal involving the country's energy sector. The Ukrainian authorities have charged 7 individuals in relation to an alleged $100 million kickback scheme. Now, the names of several senior energy officials are under the scanner, including the Ukrainian Justice Minister, German Galushenko, who has been suspended. Now, Galushenko had previously served as Ukraine's energy minister. And according to Ukraine's Anti-Corruption Bureau, the kickbacks involved Ukraine's state nuclear power operator, Energoatom. In a statement, the agency alleged that a former advisor to the energy minister, Energoatom's head of security, a businessman and 4 back office workers were involved in a high-level criminal investigative organization. The probe that lasted 15 months led to dozens of searches and the seizure of large sums of cash in multiple currencies.
Among the currently identified members of the criminal organization, footage cut at source, are a former advisor to the Minister of Energy, the Executive Director for Physical Protection and Security of the joint stock company National Atomic Energy Generating Company Energoatom, a well-known businessman, and 4 individuals working in back offices.
Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that he supports anti-graft agencies in their investigation and has also called for the dismissal of the justice and energy ministers. The energy scandal has come at a critical time for the Ukrainians, even before the cold winter temperatures set in. Large parts of Ukraine are now facing daily blackouts as it fends off some massive Russian attacks on its energy infrastructure. Now, accusations of kickbacks in the energy sector are particularly sensitive with the broader public. In July 2025, large protests had broken out following a government move to rein in the powers of Ukraine's 2 main anti-corruption agencies. Following international criticism, Zelensky had reversed course and then restored the independence of the agencies. The Turkish prosecutors have charged Istanbul's jailed mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, with 142 offences in a massive legal case that could carry a penalty, believe it or not, of 2,000 years in prison. You must hear that again. That is 2,000 years in prison. The 4,000-page indictment charged the popular opposition mayor with a string of offences, including running a criminal organization, bribery, embezzlement, money laundering, extortion, and tender rigging. And according to the indictment, İmamoğlu allegedly headed a sprawling crime network over which he exerted his influence like an octopus. Now, Turkey's main opposition party, the CHP, has lashed out at the indictment. The CHP chief, Özgür Özel, has called it a clear case of judicial interference that is aimed at blocking İmamoğlu from running as their candidate for the 2028 presidential polls. The CHP has been under increasing pressure since it won control of Turkey's largest cities during the local elections in March last year. Now, since then, 16 of its mayors have been jailed. In March this year, the then Istanbul mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, was arrested on charges of corruption. Now, the arrest had triggered one of Turkey's largest protests in decades and also a wider crackdown on the opposition. Now, Poland turned into a sea of red after thousands marched through the city of Warsaw Centre to mark Poland's 107th Independence Day. Now, the march that was organized by the far-right groups witnessed some anti-immigration banners calling for resisting invasion, as they put it, by the immigrants. Take a look at these images. Now, days before the voters in Chile head to the polls in the country's first round election that is scheduled for the 16th of November, the presidential frontrunners held a rival campaign closing rallies in the capital city of Santiago. Now, Janet Yara, the governing coalition's presidential candidate and the country's first communist contender since the return to democracy, closed a campaign with a mass rally that has drawn thousands of supporters to Santiago, calling on the voters to support both her candidacy and the allied lawmakers to secure a congressional majority. Nayara warned that no one should be able to block important progress.
Trabajo es individual. Ningún proyecto es de un hombre o de una mujer sola. En nuestro gobierno.
In our government, we are going to work hard to strengthen public health. And none of this will be possible if we don't make our country grow. And we have seen that growth is possible. Growth is possible with two requirements: respecting the environment and ensuring that this growth reaches the tables of all Chileans.
So in the rally, Yara pledged to boost economic growth while protecting the environment and strengthening public health.
What will this government leave us as a legacy? Jara is the legacy of violence. Jara is all of that and much more. Jara also represents the Communist Party, because Manuel Monsalve is also Jara. And because above everything, so that no one forgets, Boric is Jara, and Jara is Boric.
Para que nadie se olvide, Boric es Jara, y Jara es Boric.
The cast who's run for presidency twice before has said that Chile will begin to change after Sunday's vote. His speech primarily was focused on security, crime and immigration as he promised to reclaim and rebuild Chile. And this apparently seemed to have struck a chord with his supporters, comprising of a predominantly young and middle to upper class crowd. Eligible to vote in this election, including citizens as well as those who resided in the country for more than 5 years, as per the Constitution. Even as Yara seems to be leading most opinion polls with the far-right opponent cast in the second spot, they'll face a runoff on the 14th of December should both fail to win an outright majority in the first round. So with just days remaining for the high-stakes presidential race, it remains to be seen, will the Chileans pick a left-aligning successor to President Gabriel Boric, or is there going to be an ideological shift in the country? And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. This is Mohammed Saleh signing off. Thanks for watching.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
जंगल राज वालों ने सत्याग्रह की इस पुण्य भूमि को डकैतों का गढ़ बना दिया था।
लालू जी अपने बेटे को मुख्यमंत्री बनाना चाहते और सोनिया जी अपने बेटे को प्रधानमंत्री बनाना चाहते।
20 साल एनडीए को मौका मिला, तेजस्वी को केवल 20 महीने ही दीजिए।
अगर आप कहोगे नरेंद्र मोदी जी आप ऐसा ड्रामा करो वोट के लिए, वो कर देंगे। लालू नीतीश मोदी तीनों चल गए तो कौन बचा?
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
The biggest factor being the trail of the car that exploded here last evening, the Hyundai i20 in question.
All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Sources say that the trio of doctors are believed to have frequently interacted. The police raided this place and recovered the explosive material along with the ammunition.
Now the investigators are picking up the pieces. More details are trickling in.
The Jammu and Kashmir police will be a big party to the whole investigation, which has been handed over to the NIA.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start this broadcast by taking a quick look at what is making headlines at this hour.
The cabinet reiterates